Alright, tubes, what's going on? I've been getting a lot of questions about the Mustang. Everybody wants to know how's it running, where'd it go, how come I'm not making videos of it. So I wanted to make a video and let you guys know what's going on. So believe it or not, I actually don't own the Mustang anymore. I sold it about 3 months ago, and funny enough, I sold it to a buddy of mine, so you guys might actually get to see it again. But anyhow, that thing's gone, and so you may be asking, what's here in its place? And so without further ado, I present to you my latest motor vehicle acquisition. That's right, it's another Ranger, believe it or not. Now I got two of them. My other one, of course, is the green 02. This one here is a 2006. So it's kind of a funny story how I got this thing, but to make a long story short, I had a buddy of mine who I actually met because of this truck. We met at a Ford Ranger meet about 3 or 4 years ago. And he had been thinking about upgrading, and he ended up getting a 2015 F-150, but in order to get that, he didn't really have the room or the money to keep two trucks, so he wanted me to buy this one off of him. And so I said, yeah, I can buy it, but I got to get rid of the Mustang first, because I don't really have room or the money to have two trucks and a Mustang. So I real quick up and sold the Mustang to a buddy of mine, and that's how we ended up with this truck. So first things first, it's got the 4-liter motor in it, same motor as the truck in my 02, 4.0 single overhead cam, and this one's only got 40,000 miles on it. The motor was replaced when the truck had about 165,000, maybe 167,000. The timing chains on it, which of course I've done plenty of videos on, did what they are typically known to do, and just blew up the whole motor. And so you had to put a new motor in it, put a Jasper motor in it. Now transmission wise, this one's actually got an automatic in it. Now I'm not a particularly big fan of automatics, but hey, if it's in the truck that looks like this, I guess I'll take it. Of course it's a 5R55E trans, that's what the 4-liter Rangers came with. And at least so far, it hasn't given me any problems. I've only owned the truck since July, but in those 3.5, 4 months that I've owned it, it's been absolutely fine. It is, of course, 4x4. It's got the stock Borg Warner 1354 transfer case in it, and this particular one is electronic, just like my other Ranger. So I got a little knob on the dash, and everything works there just fine. Moving around to the rear of the truck here, as you can see, this one has got the FX4 level 2 package in it. So what that means basically is that it's got a limited slip rear in it. Now, I'm pretty sure that some of these trucks, if you got the FX4 level 2, they actually came with a torsion type limited slip. This one here, to the best of my knowledge, is a clutch pack type. But even given the fact that the truck's got 210,000 miles on it, rear seems to lock up fine. It works as it's supposed to. It'll do burnouts, it'll pull you out of a mud hole, it'll do just about anything. So, pretty happy with that, no issues whatsoever. Now, as far as the wheels and tires on this thing go, we're rocking a set of BFGs, BF Goodrich KO2s. And I could probably do a whole video talking about these things, but all I'll say is that they're a little bit pricey. I think these particular ones were like $175 a tire, which is, at least in my opinion, kind of a pretty chunk of change to spend on tires. But these things, let me tell you what, you get what you pay for, because these things will probably outwheel my 02 Ranger in 4-wheel drive when this truck's in 2-wheel. Just about. The limited slip has a little bit to do with that, but without a doubt, these tires are the most impressive off-road tires I've ever seen. For all terrains, of course. You know, if you're talking about mud terrains, well, yeah, you're going to get a set of tires that'll outwheel these, no question. As far as the wheels themselves, they're Black Rock wheels. I don't really know anything beyond the fact that they're 16s, and they were about $80 a piece when my buddy bought these. They do have a little bit of back spacing to them, not a lot, not an excessive amount, but in my opinion, it's just a little bit. They stick out a little bit. It's not obnoxious. It doesn't shoot dirt up all over the side of your truck, but it does give it a real nice aggressive look from the front end. If you get that head-on shot, you can see they're sticking out just a little bit more than they would be stock. So another question you guys are probably wondering is, how are you clearing those wheels? And the answer to that is, well, I'm not, because they do actually kind of rub a little bit, because they're 265/75 size tires, and so they're pretty big. So in the front, if I go full tilt, they will actually rub a little bit, not excessively, but a little bit. That being said, the truck is lifted. It was originally a Fat Bob's Garage kit, and what it consisted of was an add-a-leaf in the back and torsion keys for the front. And I will say that it definitely rides stiffer than my 02, which is kind of understandable since we do have the add leaf in the back, which by definition will stiffen up the back. And then since he's got torsion keys in the front, which puts additional preload on the bars, that explains why the front rides a little bit on the tougher side too. For shocks, just in case anyone's interested, it's a set of Ranchos in the front. I think they might be RS5000s, not 100% sure about that. And then in the back we got a set of Bilsteins, and they seem like they eat up the bumps pretty good. Again, it's kind of hard for me to gauge whether it's really the shocks or the keys and the add leaf that are actually making the truck handle the way it does. But I definitely noticed that it corners a little bit better. I think it would tow a little bit better, and just overall it does seem to handle better than my 02, despite the fact that this has roughly 40,000 more miles than that truck. Just a couple other things about the exterior of the truck. Obviously it's got the two-tone paint, which I gotta say I'm a huge fan of. I think it looks a lot better than just the single colored truck. Now this paint's in pretty good shape. It's definitely in better shape than the paint on my 02, but obviously the truck itself is black, and then you got the charcoal gray down here, and then you also got a set of pinstripes. You got a blue pinstripe here, and then you got a white and red one up here. It's got a toolbox in the back, which really isn't anything super special to talk about, but it's kind of like the automatic in this truck. Just because of the fact that my other truck doesn't have one, it makes it neat that this one does. Tint wise on the windows, you can see the windows are tinted. I believe it's a 25% tint on the front here, and then the back is like who even knows what, because these trucks actually came stock with tint on the back, and the previous owner just fell into a hole there. But anyway, the previous owner actually tinted over the stock tint in the back, so that makes these back windows really, really dark, and as a result it actually makes the front ones look darker than they really are. But to the best of my knowledge, they're 25%. Not a whole lot to talk about interior wise with the truck. One thing I will mention though is this truck has the vinyl floor in it, whereas my 02 has the carpet, and I gotta say that vinyl floor is a world of difference compared with the carpeted floor. It's a lot easier to clean. Not that I've actually cleaned it yet, but I know it will be. It won't hold any moisture, it won't hold odors, none of that stuff. One thing that he did though is he put a really nice set of Explorer seats in here. Ironically, they actually came from the same Explorer that I got my center console out of in my other truck, which is kind of funny. But they're super nice. The truck that they came out of must have hardly had any miles on it, because they feel like they're brand new. They're nice and firm still. They got electronic control in the driver's seat. You got bolster, lumbar, whatever you call that, support adjustments, and they're just super nice seats. Otherwise, interior-wise, pretty much the only other mods done to this are that he added a CB. It's just a standard Cobra 18, and then it's also got a Sony aftermarket head unit in here. One thing I'll mention real quick, just because there might be other 06 truck owners watching this, it did have the airbag recall, and I did get that taken care of. I just called up my local dealer, told them what year truck I had, gave them the VIN number, and they said, okay, bring it in. Took about maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, and it was done. It's got one of these scan gauges mounted up on the windshield here, and these things are really nice. They'll tell you a lot of information. I pretty much just got it set up for fuel right now. It'll definitely tell you a lot more information, but that's pretty much the only information I'm interested in there, so that's why I got it set up the way I do. All it does is it just plugs in where your OBD2 port is, and you can pretty much just set it and forget it. It'll come on when you turn the ignition on, or start the engine rather, shut off when you turn it off, and you really don't have to mess with it other than when you get a full tank of gas. You can reset it, and then that'll reset your distance to empty, how many gallons you have, and if you want to, you can reset your average MPG. And I think that's pretty accurate now. Before it was giving me a lot higher than it was, but I've since recalibrated it, and now it seems pretty accurate. One thing I have noticed about this truck is it definitely doesn't get as good of mileage as the other truck, probably due to the automatic transmission. It's a known fact that at least older automatics, this one I would call an older one, just by design don't do as good on gas as a manual would. Someone in the comments will probably know if these are stock or aftermarket. I'm not sure. Of course they're 06 mirrors, the shape of them, but I don't really know if they came stock with the chrome covers on them or if that was an aftermarket option there. Not really sure. Some people like them that I talk to, some people don't. I think it's like just the right amount of chrome. It's not too much, it's not obnoxious, but just a little bit, set you apart a little bit from the other trucks. Of course, we're rocking a set of KC daylighters on the front. They're really nice. They're super bright at night. He's got them aimed real well. And I like this bar that he's got him mounted up with. I'm not sure where he got that. I'll see if I can find a link for that. And I'll look for a link for all this stuff for you. I'll put a link for the KCs. I'll put a link for that just in case anybody's looking to do that. But I think this bar looks good because it's not a super big in-your-face bar. It's just a little extra thing on the front of the truck, just kind of like the mirrors, just to set it apart just enough. And then of course there's the headlights here. I made a custom set of these. You guys might have remembered that from a while ago. These ones I think were bought online, so I'll try and find a link for those. But basically it's the same thing to give you a little bit more of an aggressive look, and of course the corners are also the blacked out type. And what's nice about these is the lenses themselves are clear, but they're blacked out in the background, so you still get plenty of light going through them. You just get that little more aggressive look. One last thing I'll point out here before it gets too dark. It's got a nice tip on the exhaust here. It's just the tip, but it really sounds good. As far as I know, this truck's got a stock muffler in there. I don't know how well you can see it, but it looks like the same shape as my O2, so I'm not really sure, but it sounds good. So I think that's about going to do it, because you can hardly see anything at this point in time. So I appreciate you guys watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm sure I forgot something, so if anybody has any questions about something they want to see, or any questions about Rangers in general, be sure to leave a comment and I'll get back to you in whatever form is appropriate. I'll even do a whole video if it's worth doing. But yeah, we certainly got projects coming up for this thing. One of the big things I want to do to it is I want to put a dash cam in it. I got a real cheap one in it now, but if I'm going to be driving this thing, I want to get a good one in it. And then I'm sure I'll come up with other things to be doing with this, because it's a good truck and I don't have any intentions of getting rid of it. So it's worth doing mods to. Alright tubes, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video.